best time to test blood sugar with type 2 diabetes to help reverse it. I really doubt you enjoy pricking your finger to test your blood sugar. So let's do this with the idea that do this right for a few months and you won't have to do it ever again. Sunrise is in about 10 minutes, so let's take a little walk and talk about the important parts of testing your blood sugar. So this is definitely general advice, so probably more for somebody that either just got diagnosed, recently diagnosed, or if you've had type 2 diabetes for a while, but you've never really tested it with the idea of, let's use this information to reverse my diabetes, and your blood sugars are pretty stable and pretty, moderately high. And with anybody, I really encourage you to work with a healthcare professional, one that you trust, one that you're comfortable with, and really importantly, one that is known for reversing diabetes, not just controlling or managing type 2 diabetes. All right, now if you're somebody that is has really unstable numbers, really high numbers, like you see 300 and plus, or you're on insulin, stuff like that, you're probably going to want to check it more often than what I'm talking about here. But again, coordinate that with a healthcare professional that you really trust. So for somebody that's been recently diagnosed or anywhere along the process, if you really haven't done what I'm about to talk about and you really want to reverse your diabetes, I want you to think about your testing your own blood sugar with the idea of you are collecting data to improve. So you're assessing what you're doing and you're collecting data with the idea of, hey, let's make this better towards, hopefully, ideally, reversing your diabetes, completely reversing your diabetes. So if you've never done this before, at first, now I don't expect you to do this the long term, I expect you to do this long enough that you really have a good picture. So at first, I would say test your blood sugar first thing in the morning, 2 hours after breakfast, 2 hours after lunch, 2 hours after dinner. Now, when I'm working with people, I usually ask them to do that for the first week to have a really good picture. And I would encourage you to put that into a very organized journal so that it's easy to read, easier for you, for a coach or anybody that's going over that with you, easy for them to read as well. And that it's got some other important information. So, first thing in the morning, 2 hours after lunch, 2 hours after 2 hours after breakfast, 2 hours after lunch, 2 hours after dinner, and with that, just for the first week, I would encourage you to say, how was your sleep? Did you sleep well? How many hours did you sleep? Was it interrupted? What exactly did you have for breakfast? What exactly did you have for lunch? What exactly did you have for dinner? At any of those points, how was your stress level? On a scale of 1 to 10, how was your stress? And to be able to look back and really make adjustments and assess things. And then after that first week, I would say typically, unless you're really looking at something specific, I would say do those things sporadically. Some days check it first thing in the morning, some days check it after breakfast, some days check it after lunch, some days check it after dinner. Some other things to keep in mind, that often your blood sugar first thing in the morning is a reflection of both how did you sleep and how was your metabolism overnight. So if you were working with somebody like me, we would be looking at those first thing in the morning numbers as well as other stuff to really assess that and to help improve your sleep, and more importantly for the reversing it in type 2 diabetes is to improve your metabolism overnight. Because if you don't already understand it, a lot of times people just think of it as a dawn phenomenon and they don't really understand it. But I would say towards that, if anytime we're stressed out, including if you don't sleep well, that's stress. Your body's response, your liver's response is to pump out sugars and fats. So that's when some people see like, hey, how did my blood sugar increase overnight, especially if it was really high in the morning. So that's how that often happens. But also, being a type 2 diabetic, your cells are having trouble getting glucose that it actually needs. So understanding like, hey, you're not eating overnight, hopefully you're not eating through the night, but naturally while you're sleeping you're not eating. So between that and being a type 2 diabetic, at some point it is very probable that your cells are not getting enough glucose. And when your cells are not getting enough glucose, that is nutritional and biomechanical stress, and your body's response is to pump out sugars and fats from your liver. So understanding that and watching those numbers so that you can work on making those things better. Another important distinction and to not fall into a common trap is, yes, I want you to use those numbers to adjust and get better and better with the idea of ultimately reversing your diabetes, but don't fall in the trap of, I'm gonna use fruit as an example. Okay, you had, especially when you're first starting to do this, you had some fruit for one of those meals and you saw your numbers were higher after that meal. Don't fall into the trap of and make the mistake to think to really blame that fruit and thinking, okay, what I'm learning is that I can't have fruit. That's a trap. Instead, think about the bigger picture. So in the short run, yes, maybe that fruit spiked gave you a bad spike in blood sugar, but really in the big picture, what it is with improper nutrition and improper balance of nutrition, yes, things like fruit are going to spike your blood sugar and you're going to have a bad spike. But when you really have the right balance of nutrition and the right nutrition and you've filled in all the deficits and balanced things out, things like fruit not only don't give you a bad spike, actually I've seen people where it actually brings their blood sugar down, and it's a good thing overall. So keep that in mind. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that things like fruit are giving you a bad spike. Instead, thinking like, okay, let me look at it as overall nutrition to improve. All right, so if you have any questions, comments, put them in the comments. Let me know, what are you seeing for blood sugar numbers now? Put them in the comments and let's start a conversation about how you can move that in the right direction and ideally towards completely reversing your diabetes. So in the next video, what I'm gonna put is how to reverse your diabetes. So to get that and to always get the best stuff about reversing type 2 diabetes and helping you improve your health, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, and I will see you on the next video.